Yeah, hello and welcome back to the grind. Hey, so here I am. It's like the last time you saw me, I was working on this Porsche 924, and it was disappointing. Anyhow, 3 days later now, or 4 days later, and it's been running. I've had it out for a drive, and things are actually pretty good. They're not perfect yet, but they're on the way to being better. So it was just all about getting it started, and most of it was to do with this fuel pressure regulator. It's warm up regulator, they call it, WUR, and it usually sits on the back of the motor there, but I've got it out here because I'm working on it, working on it. And then the second thing was the right down in here. There's a little pin in there, a little adjustment in there that you set the richness of the mixture, and that also needed attention. Then I did put the electronic ignition back into it, and it works. And I had to change the spark plugs because it just wouldn't run with the spark plugs that were in it. They wouldn't spark. They got flooded with gas, and then they just wouldn't go. So I put in a set of spark plugs that are supposed to go in the BMW, but they look about the same. And I'll get the proper spark plugs for this one. I'll order a set. These ones were new, but gee whiz, they aren't working. And it's a real pain in the ass to change spark plugs in this car. But that's done. And working pretty good. Now, down the road here, down the future, I've got a new water pump for it because that was wisping steam out of it. And might as well have a new water pump. And I've got some new pipes, like hoses and stuff like that. And fuel pressure test is still failing, but that's okay. We'll live with that. All for that. Hope you enjoy it. It's a running machine now, and I don't think, and I'm sure I could screw it up again because I do that regularly, but it seems to be pretty good for now. So hope you enjoy it. Stick around. You'll see what happened. Don't forget now, you got to like and subscribe and all that other kind of stuff. Bye for now. Yeah. Okay. There we are. Welcome back. Yeah, welcome back to the grind. Now, after last week's disappointing performance, I think this week I might be able to get it to run. We'll see. Got another whole week to do it, eh? Now, I did order a new rebuild kit for this thing from the missingparts.de, which is from Germany. And they sent the rebuild kit for this, the fuel distributor in it. Everything there works like that, works right. It's all the tests come out okay on that. This one here, I did do a rebuild kit on it a long time ago. Well, when I got the car a couple of years ago, I guess now, eh? And at that time, what am I trying to say? At that time, I didn't know what I was doing. I just took it apart and put it back together and cleaned it a bit. Now I know, well, I still don't know what I'm doing. That's obvious. But I have a little bit better idea how that works. So now I've got, as of yesterday, I had the pressure up to 1.1 or 1.2. Now I want to get the pressure on the cold to 1.4 or 1.6 or something like that. 1.6 or 1.7. This chart here, which is now in here, I don't know, you can read that up there. It says 68 degrees. It's on the heat pump, and that's 68 degrees is 20 degrees centigrade. And so if you go up this graph and cross that bar there, so it needs to be between 1.3 and 1.7 bar at this temperature. So if I get it up to that, then that might bring this warm pressure up to 3.4 to 3.8. If I put it at the high side, I'll get it, I hope, to 1.7, and then that should bring the operating pressure up to 3.4. Now, when I do the rebuild kit on it, I want to get it set up. This will be set up pretty close to right. And when the rebuild kit comes, I'll do it again. Hey, do it all over again, just because I like doing stuff all over again. But, someday I'll be an expert on these damn things, right? And understanding how they work. So I'll get at it here. You've watched me do all this stuff, but I'll show you my results as I get along. I'm going to take the back off here and put a couple of shims in. I'll show you that because I don't know if I ever did that. Okay, here I get at it. Here's my bucket. So I've got this bucket here so I don't lose parts. And now I've lost my screwdriver. So right away, lose parts. There we are. So I got the bucket so I don't lose parts. So I just loosen these off. 4 of them. Now the reason I do it over the bucket here is because so if I drop a piece, it's going to fall into the bucket and not onto the ground and lose it forever, which would be, disappointing. So this comes off. Then the spring is here, and the little top hat thing is here, and then lose my wires, and then also this little tiny thing here, which is the pushy thing. Now I've got in here, can you see that? Yeah. There, that's closer. Now you see in here, that's that the bimetal heat strip thing. So what it does, to get more pressure, how can I explain this? So I have one too many shims on that thing, I think. I've got to get more pressure, it has to go in a bit. So I'll take one shim off and give it a try, see what happens. Yeah, so there's the size of the thing that I have in there. Just a little one, and they're very skinny. So I'll just zoom you in again here. So I've taken one out. Hope that's gonna do it. Yeah, there I've got that back together. I just put 2 screws on it for this time now. Now I'll put electricity to it, but no heat, right? So first you gotta find your negative. These hot wires here, they go to the starter motor. Or not, to the fuel pump motor. Now, over here, and my thing says 1 point. Oh, geez. I guess you're not supposed to kick the camera, right? Where is it? There it is. It says 1.246. Now, I could take one more shim out, and that would fit it up to 1.8, which would be a little high, but it might be a good idea to do that. That's what I'll do. I'll first, like, you turn that off. That brings that pressure up to 4.8, 4.75, 4.8, which is, about right. And then this comes back down to 1.246. Hang on. Yeah, so I'll take out one more shim, same as I did before, but I won't make you endure that, okay? There, a couple hours later, I finally got it around to 1.246, 1.7. Now if I put the heat to it, I'll see if it'll heat up to close to what I want. Now the way I did it finally was I was using shims and shims, and I just couldn't get it to, like, they'd go one way, one side to the other. So this little thing here, I'd punched this out with the from the other side. So I just punched it back in a little bit. Gave it a couple of gentle taps with a small hammer. And that seems to have it. I think what was happening is there was a little bit, but the shims I was putting on were just wobbling a bit, and so one way it is good and the other way it's bad, so I put it on as per factory there. And so here now, system pressure 4.6, 4.7. So if I turn the system pressure up just a tiny bit, which I can do there, that would actually change that a tiny bit. And then I can go, we'll just see, okay? And now I raised this system pressure up by 0.2 or 0.2.5, just by, I put one shim in there, right? And then, now we'll just see what the operating pressure is. Yeah, and that raises that a tiny bit also to, the cold pressure is at 2.7, 2.65, 2.7, so a tiny bit higher. Now, if I really wanted to, I could raise it a bit more, but I think I'll leave it at that and put some heat to it and see what happens. Yeah, it's been running for about 6 minutes now. It's up at 2.6, 2.7, right? And I want it to be up at 3.4, 3.2, 3.4. Let me see here. 3.4 to 3.8 is operating pressure warm. So I might have to just give it another little bounce on that. See if I can bring it up to the proper temperature here, and then I'll worry about, then tomorrow I'll check the cold again, because it's pretty near quitting time now, but I'll let it, it's been running for how many minutes? 5:51 to, like, it's been running for 7 minutes, so I'll give it another 5 minutes before I do anything to it. Yeah, well, there now, that's interesting. So I couldn't get it to come above operating pressure above 2.6, right? No matter what I did, it was staying at 2.6. So then I changed, like, that was changing the height of it quite a bit. So now I've got to go back to the drawing board, because I put some extra spacers underneath the spring, and that all of a sudden pops it right up to that much there. So I think the spring is getting a bit weak. I don't know if the rebuild kit comes with a spring or not. Well, I guess we'll find out. Anyhow, that's tomorrow a problem. Yeah, here I am back at the this thing. Now, didn't get far yesterday, but I didn't have much time on it yesterday. But I did a couple of things I have figured out. I think I've figured out anyhow. This thing here, there's a procedure for making that adjustable. See how this plug is in here? So you drill a hole in the middle of that plug and tap it, and then you put in this case a 5mm bolt in there, and with a nut on the outside so you can lift it out. Then if you want to pull this way, which lowers the pressure, yes, lowers the pressure, then you crank in on put a nut over the end of it, and you crank in over the nut, and that will pull it this way to lower the pressure. If you want to go the other way to increase the pressure, then you just tap this. Then you don't have to take this apart. The problem being is that this whole dilemma here might swing back and forth. So they say that being the article says, drill a little hole right at the edge of it there. Now, is that possible? I don't know. I'll find out. So what I'll do first is I'll drill the center hole, which it happens to have a nice punch mark right in the center there for some reason. And then I'll tap it. So you drill about 10 millimeters in, which is about that far, and then tap it, and it looks like, and then carry on. So what I'll do is I'll drill 10 millimeters in, and I'll pull it out so it's flush. Then I'll see if I can drill down beside it here and just put a little, just a tiny, small drill, like that big there. And then after that's drilled through, I'll just take I've got a myriad of drills bits up in that blue box up there. So I'll just take a drill bit and cut it off and use it for roll stock and put it down in there. Hope that'll happen anyhow. I've tested it out on this bolt here. So I drilled a hole in this bolt and then tapped it, and this goes into it. What I'll do eventually, once I get it in, I'll put it in the 10 millimeters, right? About that far. Then I'll Loctite it in there, cut it off here so I've got room at this end and put the nut on it. So anyway, we'll see how it works out. There, I drilled and tapped that hole. Now, next bit is to get my, well, I'll try and get that little tiny hole at the side for to keep it from spinning. See what happens if I can do that. But first I'll clean this out and see that my little bolt here actually fits. Okay, stand by. Yeah, there, now I've drilled that hole. There's the hole for the bolt to go in, right? And then there's that little hole there to don't lose my roll stock, right? That little hole to go. This thing here goes in there, and that stays there forever. But I won't put anything in there like any Loctite or anything like that, because I want this thing here to be able to go up and down. But that keeps it from swinging back and forth. Now, I'll put some Loctite on my nut, my bolt here, and that. Here, sorry about the camera work here. Like that's what's going to go in here. Now, and I'll put it right down to there's the bottom of the thread there, right? So, and then this is a nylock on here. So now, and then that washer will keep my little piece of steel from coming out of there and be able to go up and down. Okay, I think I got it figured here. Now, I think I was, well, beyond that, this part in here, over on this side, is still not right. I think I have to take that apart. Before I go any farther, I'll take it all apart again and see if I can get this here, because I think there's some dirt in there that's creating a problem on the high pressure end of it. So anyway, I'll get it apart and I'll show you what I mean. Now, this is the inside of the thing right here, right? So I'll see if I can get some light on here and I get a pointy finger here. See this in the middle there? I don't know if that is focused or not, but difficult to get stuff to focus that close, right? Anyhow, I think there's a little bit of dirt around the edge of that hole, and that's allowing pressure to slide by there. Plus you can see dirt around the edge of this thing here, which I don't think is a big deal because that's the O-rings looking after it. So my plan is to take a stick with some toothpaste on it and just see if I can clean that up a bit. Yeah, there, I've got that plate back in there again in its spot, and it did look marginally better. I don't know if it looked perfect, but marginally better, so especially the center pin. So I'll just see what happens here. There, now I'm set to start screwing with it in a literal way here. So what I'll do eventually is I'll cut this, when I get everything set, I'll cut this off and put a thing for threading, like to hold a screwdriver on it if I have to. But so that, because I know it won't That might fit into the back there. Who knows? I'll check that out first before I start cutting anything. So how do you get those holes drilled in there? Well, I've got over here on this end of the shop, I've got this mini milling machine, and I've got a mini lathe. So they're handy tools, especially this milling machine, because you can put a center. You could get that thing to drill down between two things, right? You can put one of these centering pins in there, and that you just stick that in and it centers it, and then you got a nice start hole. Because this won't, you know how a drill will just do this and flip and flop from side to side. So those things don't. And so that got that little tiny hole between the two things, between the the little tiny hole, and the big hole was no problem. I just there was a mark already in the center, and I just drilled it down through. So, and then I was able to, with this you're able to measure how far you go, because there's a scale on the side there. It's in inches, so went about a ½ inch in, and that works all right. We hope. Well, anyhow, it's done. So then I did put some blue. I just put blue Loctite in there because I didn't want to have that 542 stuff. That stuff locks it down, so you can't ever move it again in your life. Anyway, so now I'll see what I can do about getting it set up to go. I think I want to push it down a little bit there. I'll just check, and I'll let you know what I did. Yeah, there, it's all got back together. I haven't done anything here yet. So if I want, of course, while you do adjustments, you'll be looking at the screen. Wait a minute, I'll figure this out. Yeah, here now. So if I want a higher control pressure, then you turn the nut down. If I want a lower control pressure, then you got to take a hammer and just tap that gently, like turn the nut back a bit and then tap it gently down. So first off, I'll just light it up and see what it gets for results the way it is right now. Hang on. I'll show you in a second. Yeah, there, I gave it a couple of taps. It came down to 4.0, so now I've got to take it a couple more taps. Okay, hang on. There, now I moved the screw down far enough so that this has come down to 1.4. I want to get it up to 1.7 or 1.8. Now I did put I've changed the parameters here a little bit, because I put a shim underneath the spring in there just to give it a little bit more spring action, because I didn't think it was getting enough spring action. Anyhow, but I'll bring the cold control pressure up to 1.8, and that'll be okay. A little bit off what it's supposed to be, 1.7, but then I'll turn it up so the hot pressure comes up and see what happens then, okay? So all I have to do now is to hang on to this with an Allen key, right? And then turn this down a little bit. I should be able to watch that thing go up. Yeah, it goes up. Amazing. And you can just, I don't know if I can get you on that. Hang on. Well, there, like, that just turned it up to 1.7 just by turning that very gently. And you get it fairly precise. You don't have to bash it back and forth and all that back and forth that I was doing before. Boy, that's fast and easy. Okay, so now I've got the cold pressure about where I want it, 1.7. 1.75, 1.8. Anyhow, and now I'll put the heat to it and see what happens when I put the heat to it. There, now I've hooked the electricity up to it so that it should be warming up. famous last words should be. Oh yeah, and the pressure gauge is rising. So I want it to get to 3.4, give or take. We'll just see how it gets. Like the highest I could get before was 2.8 or something. And that was, so I put a shim underneath the spring just to give it a bit more spring action and see if it'll go up to 3.4. Anyhow, like watching paint dry here, I'll wait a minute. There now, it's at 3.95. So I can just back that off a little bit. I'll bring this back down to 3.6 or something at that side, and then the cold one should be around 1 point, whatever it is, 1 point something or other. And I'll just leave the spring as it is because I think that there's nothing wrong with that spring being in there. Then might run, you never know. Anyway, I've got results that I've been trying for days now to get those results. And then here's the operating pressure, system pressure is 5, which is right. And then hot control pressure is 4, which is wrong. I'll just back that off a bit and then get that down to 3.4 to 3.8, which would be somewhere right in there. Okay. Yeah, there now, I'll let you watch this. That's at 3.3 now, and I just want to bring it up to 3.5 or somewhere around there. So I'm over here on the thing, and I'll just tighten this nut down a little bit. To bring it up. Did that go up any? There. Right there is where I wanted to think. So that's at 3.2, 3.4. I'll bring it up another little chunk, and that'll be at between 3.4 and 3.8, right? Did that go up again? Yeah, so it's at 3.246, at 3.2455. So that's right where you want it, right where I want it, right there for the hot. So I'll let it be at that. There we go. So that's the heat going on there, right? That's my little my little thing for changing stuff. I think that'll fit back there when I put it back on. I'm thinking about finding another place to put it, but it's not that bad to get it out of there. It's just, you know, a pain. And now if it's going to work, it's when they're working, they work. Now I'm gonna wait for the rebuild kit to come, and then I'll see how things work out. I don't have to necessarily put the rebuild kit in if it's all working okay. Now I think what I did here that helped it an awful lot was clean off with the toothpaste, clean off that center pin, because I think it was leaking through there. It wasn't, things weren't right there. Now if I shut it off, there is a leak down test, but I don't know. We'll just check it out here. Shut this off, right? All shut off. Oops, I just unhooked it from the battery. And then, like it's, with it in that position, I don't know if it's supposed to, like it should hold pressure for a while. I'll just, 132, so give it 10 minutes and see what it's at. Anyway, more paint drying, right? There we go. It's at 1.4 now, 1.6. So here's what I used for a shim underneath there. It's exactly 1 millimeter. And that goes on the top of the spring. And don't you know that size there just so happens like it's from Power Fist Princess's Auto. That's the wrong one. Okay. Circlips. Now where did these come? Oh, these came from the Chinese people on the internet. But anyhow, I ordered these circlips because it's just handy to have circlips. And these ones here happen to be, they fit right into the recess where the spring goes into, and they hold themselves in there. So anyhow, I'll leave that in there because I don't think it's hurting anything, and I think it might even be helping something. So this is still at 1.2, 1.3 there, and it's 4 minutes in, so I'll see how that goes. Yeah, so when I let the thing cool off, and then I checked out the control pressure cold, and it was right around 1. So I turned it up a little bit, so it'd be 1.3, I think, 1.2, 1.3. And then I've got the hot running now, so it's at 3.7 right now. And so that's 3.4 to 3.8, so I guess that's at the high side, but that'll be fine. And it's been going for, 152, 10 minutes, I think, which is hot, long enough to make that, it gets to right where it stays, about there. Then the leak down test failed last time, but I think it's my equipment here that's failing. I don't think it's in the actual fuel system. I think it's right here on that little thing right there is leaking. Because I just like, see that? And there's a bunch of fuel in here that I didn't release that fuel into there. So this is where the leak down test is coming from, right there somehow. Maybe not, because if I turn that off, then it won't. Oh dear, maybe not. Anyway, I think we got it pretty close to being right there. Now, the thing may run. That would be a surprise, wouldn't it? So I'll put things together and see if I can make it run. Yeah, things I forgot were setting this thing up, the initial setting for this. Where's my little Allen key like that, right? Special tool, such and such. So you put it in down that little hole there, wherever that hole is, right there, and it goes into the Allen key. Then you back it off a couple of turns until it, what I did was I took this fuel line off of here, backed it off a couple of turns, and then started the fuel pump. Then turned it this way, clockwise, until the fuel just started to rise in here and coming out over the top. Then I backed it a half a turn back. And that's what they call the initial setting. So, and I think I don't have any fuel in the cylinders this time. I hope not. I'll turn it by hand once I get the distributor in. I'll turn it by hand one turn and make sure that it turns easily. Anyway, I'll carry on. Yeah, so I turned the motor over once by hand, 2 revolutions, so everything was through a full system check, full system. Now, I don't know what'll happen here. We'll just see. Might run, might not run. We'll just see. What the hell, eh? Okay. So, I'll give it a little bit of a turn on that thing there. Just hang on until I find my wrench. Here it is. Doesn't take much of a turn to make a difference on this. So a little tiny bit towards the clock, right? Just that much. Then try it again. Now, I'll just keep going back and forth until I get it sorted out. Yeah, there, I guess it's running. even idling all these. See if I can get it to run smoothly now. Pressure's at 4 point. Pressure's a bit high, so I gotta do something about that, which I will do. But I am pleased that it's finally running. First thing I'll do is see if I can get this thing here settled right. Round about there. Yeah, so I gotta sort out that pressure there, which I will do. Alright, so it's running, yay! I think it'll even rev now too. Yeah, that's the best it's ever ran. Yay! I think I got it going. I think I'm on the road to recovery here. So anyway, I'll do some more dicking around with it. I'll get the timing set, all that kind of stuff, and see where we go from there. Yeah, there, it was running a bit high here, so I changed that. Seems to be pretty good and solid now at 3.7, 3.8. I don't know what the cold one will be, but I think it's running pretty nice. I adjusted the idle down. I set the timing just by ear because my timing light's not working. And then this thing right down here, I adjusted that back and forth until it came to where I liked it. And then you can know that's what it's supposed to do, right? Which is good. So that's about the best I've ever heard this thing run, and I think it's got just about right. So maybe I'll just put out a little video about this and you'll be a happy guy. I'll do a little bit more changing here before I do anything. Yeah, there, it was finally running, eh? That's good news. That was, took a long time to get there, but it's there now, so that's good. This thing here is still dropping off pressure, and it's not passing the test of losing the pressure. I think very likely it's the check valve on the fuel pump, but that's only just a very likely a guess. I imagine I'll wait another 7 minutes and see. Anyway, so what I'll do is I'll change in the electronic ignition once again, now that I'm sort of happy that it runs. And then I'll take it for a drive, and then it'll pop up a video after I do that, if it all works out, right? So, I'm a happy guy. That's good news here. So, I'll just... that'll be it for today. I'll wait and see if this is going to drop down below where it's supposed to be, and then head in, have some supper. See you later. Yeah, now here I am back at it. Before I change that distributor to the electronic again, I just want to take the spring out of here and readjust this business with the without the spring in it, without the shim in the spring, and see if it gets a bit better. Because right now I've got it set so it's 4.3 point up here. Where am I? Not even pointing there, right? Up in here for the hot pressure, but the cold pressure is down below 1. Now, I did do a temperature reading on it. So, ambient temperature at the thing, right? So, where is the thing? Here it is. So, right there is 16.2 degrees centigrade. 16.2 degrees centigrade. So, it should be at 16, 10, 12, 12, 14, 16. Should be 1.1 at the low end to 1.4 at the top end. So, oh, sorry. 16's here, 12, 14, 16. So 1.1 to 1.5, right? Is what it should be. So I'll just see what I can do about getting that right. Yeah, so I took out that shim I had in there, and now it won't run at all. Oh dear, I'm on my own public enemy number 1 right here, looking at it, right? So now, but in the meantime, I took apart that valve down below here, the hot start valve, and it was leaking. I took the whole bracket out and everything, and it was leaking between the top and the bottom. There's threads with no seal on it at the top for whatever reason, and it was leaking down those threads. So I put some Loctite 542, which is this stuff here, on the threads, and hopefully that will stop that from leaking. And I've got it on a drop-off test here now. Mind you, I forgot to check the time when I started, so 3:12 now, so likely started about 2 minutes or 3 minutes ago. So I'll just give it 10 minutes before I do anything, and then carry on from there. So what I'll do now is I'll take that thing and I'll put my shim back in, I guess. Yeah, there it's been holding solid like a rock at 1.8 for the last 10 minutes. So I think it's holding pressure all right. So now I'll try and get it to start again. Yeah, that was a whole day to fix what I screwed up. And I'm, like I say, public enemy number 1 right here. It's just brutal sometimes what I do to myself. Anyway, running again, running nice. Red. Operating temperature is at 3.6, 3.7, which is okay. I'll give it a while. It might go a little bit higher when it warms up more. But that thing there is sort of sitting on the top of the motor instead of on the side of the motor, so it'll take a little while for it to warm up. Anyway, yay. I'm going to see about maybe take it for a spin, but that, I don't know if I want to do that now or tomorrow. Boy, oh boy. Anyway, it's running all right, and that sounds good to me. I'll take it out in the big world and see what happens. Yeah, here we go. See if I can figure it out. Now last time I tried it, it just wouldn't go at all if you pressed on the gas, but it sure goes now. And the headlights came up halfway. Don't know what gear that is. I think that's reverse. Yep. That should be first. Second. Don't know for sure. Might be. Seems to go along all right though. Back window hasn't flown open yet, I don't think. Here we go. We're traveling. Yeah, so feels all right. In fact, it feels real nice. Lots of bouncing and rattling because the muffler is loose back there. I don't know if you can hear that or not. Yeah, so goes along. See if the brakes work. Oh yeah, brakes work. A couple of gears work. Brakes work good. All right. Rolls easy, so the brakes aren't binding. Now I'm just going to set the camera up here and I'll back up a ways and then come back to you. You just wait here, car. Oh well, there we are. Finally got a running machine that seems to... Now I don't know if it'll start again tomorrow. Hey? We'll see. Okay, now I'll go and... Oh yeah. I'll just go and put it in the shop again. Oil pressure is low for whatever reason. Don't know if I got full of gas again or what. I'll just check that out before long. Anyhow, I'll shut you off here now while I get maneuvered into the garage. Yeah, there we go. That was exciting, wasn't it? Hey? Well, I got a running machine and a driving machine. Now I'll give it about 10 minutes and just, well, I want to look at the fuel pressure now. So, oh dear, gotta lift this up. Hang on. Everything's, now the headlight came halfway on, but didn't stay on, I don't know why. Well, the fluid pressure is at 30. So it says to do the pressure test when the motor's hot, 30 now, and give it another 10 minutes and see what it stands at. Then, now I do have a new water pump for it and some hoses and stuff, so I'll start on that tomorrow. But I think I'll end this one here because that's pretty well it. It runs, and it seems to run pretty good. And it seems that the pressure is holding all right. I'll wait and see, give it 10 minutes and see what happens. That there was leak by on this little thing right in there, which is the hot start valve. I think that's what was the problem, but we don't know that for a fact. We'll just let it go. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it. Public Enemy #1, yeah, you know it. And I'll see if I can get the headlights to go up and down here. Don't know what happened there. And so actually it felt pretty good, and it might be all right, this car, if I ever get it finished up. Get all the rattles out of it, because there's some serious rattles. And that's in the idle one. Again, I said there is a rebuild kit coming for that thing there. That warm-up regulator it's called, but it's actually the fuel pressure regulator for the whole thing, right? So anyway, there you go. I'll see you next time. Bye for now. Yeah, so the sun's out today, and it's a nice day. I don't know, it's November 23rd maybe, somewhere around there, maybe the 24th. Yeah, it's November 24th, Friday. Now Buster's looking for muskrats, but very seldom finds one. Tide's on the way out, I think, or on the way in, I don't know. The beach got reconfigured in the storm yesterday, or the day before. Big wind storm, and well, not a big storm, just lots of wind and waves and everything like that. So anyway, there you have it. And Buster's disappeared into the grass. Oh well, see you later.